Hello YouTube and fellow Star Wars collectors. Today we'll be taking a closer look at the pack-in figure from the recent Boba Fett's throne room, and it is Bib Fortuna Tatooine. So originally I didn't take a close look at this figure because there were so many things going on with that Boba Fett / Jabba's throne room display, with all the accessories, taking a look at everything, and then setting it up in my display. So now I want to circle back and kind of highlight a few things about this figure that I think are pretty cool and interesting in my opinion. So this is actually a really nice figure, and we're rather fortunate to have it in the vintage collection. So with that being said, let's take a closer look at the card back and the figure and everything it brings to the table. Taking a look at the card back, we have another addition to our ever-growing Book of Boba Fett carded collections, and here we have Bib Fortuna Tatooine, with a nice image of him in the palace, looking pretty shocked that Boba is back from the dead. Also, you can see the infamous Kenner staff prominently displayed there on this nice Kenner-styled card back, and just, yeah, that looks really nice in my opinion. If you take a closer look, unfortunately, you can see some of the imperfections of this carded sample, and that's something that was definitely a bit of a shame when it comes to this Boba Fett's Throne Room adventure set. A lot of us were hoping, to get two of these and a nice carded sample of this very, nice figure. Unfortunately, it didn't really have the same tissue paper and very protective treatment that we've been seeing with the N1 Starfighter and some of the speeder bikes. And yeah, there's just a lot of scuffing on here. It's not a very good looking clean sample. I've got a couple dings here and there. And then there's just that weird extra bubble indent around the perimeter of the bubble itself. And that's just not exactly the most appealing. I'm not sure what's going on in the factory, but yeah. Regardless, I'm pretty happy with this sample. I've seen much worse examples online, so I came out pretty lucky when it comes to this. And lastly, we have this nice hefty figure on a very nice sized bubble, which is another thing that makes me think, some of these deluxe figures that we've been seeing absolutely should be on card backs, because this is what a lot of people want to add to their collections. A nice carded sample of some of these iconic figures. So just something that Hasbro should really start looking at more and more in the future. And then on the back, he is VC 276. And if you're unfamiliar with some of the number issues that Hasbro has when it comes to, putting VC numbers on cards, unfortunately, Bib Fortuna Tatooine shares the same number with the recent Walmart exclusive Commander Blitz. So another little fumble there that's unfortunate. And yeah, that's something Hasbro needs to work on as well. But all in all, this is a wonderful addition to our Book of Boba Fett carded collections, and I'm pretty happy to see this figure on a card back. He's a larger, hefty figure, and, we haven't been seeing a lot of that, so pretty cool stuff to see, and I'm happy to have it in the collection. And taking a closer look at Bib Fortuna Tatooine, I'm always reminded how this figure has a little bit of weight to him. He's definitely a hefty figure, a little more than a deluxe, character in my opinion. But yeah, I will say that, Hasbro really knocked it out of the park when it comes to the likeness on this character. Some really nice paint applications there. The eyes have been done very nicely. You can even see some of those tiny teeth details back there. And there's just lots of good paint work and all the folds on his face. And just, yeah, overall, it looks really, really nice. If you move this out of the way, you can see more paint applications on his shirt and necklace and just lots of different sculpting work. And yeah, I've got to say, they did a really nice job with this character. Additionally, he's got soft goods again, which is always nice to see. And we have two sets, we have his robe and then the skirt, which has a really nice pattern on it. And it's just a really nice color as well. Everything about this, looks very nice in my opinion. Taking a look at the back, pretty good. Kind of got this simplified hood thing going on. We never really saw him put his hood up. And to be honest, we only saw this character for a matter of seconds, and not even in the actual Book of Boba Fett. He was in the trailer at the end of Mando Season 2. So the fact that we actually got this character and it's 100% newly tooled is rather impressive in my opinion. We also got the Kenner staff, which is great to see. I know a lot of people wanted to see that with the Return of the Jedi version, but hey, at least we finally got it. And I understand, that set's pretty expensive, and to get two of them and have one carded and one open was a bit of a pain, but I'm happy that we were able to get this. Taking a look at his legs, they are a little interesting in my opinion. So, he has the new style hips, which is always great to see on characters, no matter if they're like the main or like backgrounders, cool stuff. And then he has pants that are similar to Nomad Boba Fett, but they're definitely different, and they're also a little reminiscent of the Rancor Keeper, especially down in this lower boot section. So that is actually very interesting, and it makes me think, maybe these can be used for the Rancor Keeper. But I will say that these exact legs cannot, because Bib Fortuna is actually pretty tall. Apparently he is 6'5", which is pretty tall, and Malakili is only like 5'6", so these wouldn't really work and scale properly for Malakili, but maybe because they've been sculpted now, they can digitally shrink those down a little bit for Malakili, so something to think about for the future, because that's definitely a character we need in the Vintage Collection, part of the original in 96, and the Legacy Collection one's pretty good, but definitely need to see that one updated and on a vintage style cardback. Going back to the articulation, he has everything that we've been seeing with our modern figures. So he's got ball jointed everything, he's got hinges at his wrist, he's also got the ab crunch with addition of this like torso swivel, which is cool, This character didn't do a lot, but it's always nice to see a lot of articulation put into all the characters we're seeing in the Vintage Collection and at this scale. He's also got some pretty good range of motion in his head, and these are pretty soft, so they won't really get in the way. He of course turns his head better to this side, and he can go this way, and you can always put that over his shoulder to really get another angle of his head movement there. So definitely some good articulation on this figure, and he's got rocker ankles like you saw, and I'm just very impressed with this figure and happy to see it added to the Vintage Collection. And lastly, taking a look at Bib Fortuna from Tatooine compared to the Return of the Jedi version and Malakili, he is definitely a much larger figure. He's, considerably bigger than Malakili, as I pointed out. And, even though he's kind of like in a hunched over position and summoning some food from somebody, he's definitely about the same height as the Return of the Jedi version. And you can also see, the considerable differences in terms of their design and just their overall aesthetic, There are similarities when it comes to the soft goods, but, overall they definitely just look like different characters and different costume designs, which is nice to see. And yeah, like I pointed out, Malakili is definitely shorter than him, and you can see that there is definitely some similarities in terms of those pants sculpting and just the design of the lower boots. So perhaps, like I said, Malakili can come from those legs, but I do think they would have to, slightly tool them and shrink them down perhaps. I'm not sure how that whole, digital sculpting works, but I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you think those legs could potentially get us a Malakili in the future? But yeah, very happy regardless with, just the way Fat Bib Fortuna looks, and just, overall a very solid figure. The Vintage Collection's cowardly majordomo, known as Bib Fortuna Tatooine, is an essential and excellent addition to our throne room displays. And while his time on the throne was cut short by Boba, he has secured his spot in the 375 line with this all-new from the ground up figure. Bib Fortuna sports all the latest and greatest articulation he will need to either rule Tatooine as a coward or sneak a late-night snack in Jabba's palace. Ball-jointed everything, torso cuts, hinges at the wrists, and even rocker ankles will allow Bib Fortuna to achieve poses that will have him looking like the Beverly Hills Ninja. Despite his lack of articulation in both Return of the Jedi and the Book of Boba Fett, it's nice to have the posing options for this grumpy and gluttonous figure. I hope you've enjoyed this video and taking a look at VC 276 Bib Fortuna Tatooine. Be sure to let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And don't forget to drop a like on this video and subscribe if you're new to the channel. It really helps and is always greatly appreciated. Thanks everyone, and may the Force be with you.